What's up, everybody? It's been a while. It's been a few days. I took a few days off from work, and I've been busy doing some other stuff, so I haven't hit you with a car video here. But it's Monday. Hopefully you guys are having a great week, a great start to the week. I wanted to talk, and yes, this will have spoilers for Avengers Endgame. So if you have not seen that movie yet, go ahead and turn this off. Go ahead and go watch it. Before you watch any of this, I know that this episode of In the Car and then our next, I think probably the episode after the next episode, there's gonna be an episode coming out on Wednesday. The one after that will have complete spoilers and something a little bit more in depth from me. I will say, before I say anything else, I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was good. I'm not, everything I say from here on out, you know, is just little nitpicky things. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was a good close to, what do we call it? The Infinity Gauntlet Saga, I think is what they're calling it. It's a good close to 22 films or whatever it is. I will say that I enjoyed Infinity War better. Most of that is because of the action, the pacing, the stakes were higher, felt higher when it came to Infinity War, and I feel like that movie everything that was promised came to fruition in that movie, as far as the pacing and the action and the hype. All of that stuff was great for Infinity War. And Endgame, for me, was a lot slower. Like I said, I enjoyed it. It was a good movie. 3 hours did not bother me at all. It was just a very slow movie. Like I said, I'll probably be going through my full notes when we do the podcast. But so I went into Endgame going, okay, well, I'm ready, let's do it. You know, the first 5 or 10 minutes of the movie, probably 10 or 15 minutes really, are, you know, them trying to figure out what's going on. You know, it happens, I think 22 days after the snap. They find, Captain Marvel finds Tony, brings him back to Earth, and Ant-Man comes out of the thing, and then everybody bands together to go find Thor. So within the first act of the film, to go find, not Thor, to go find Thanos. Within the first act of the movie, they find Thanos. Everybody's a team, kill Thanos, figure out he's not wearing, he's wearing the gauntlet, but none of the stones are there. And so after they kill Thanos, everybody kind of splits up and goes to do their own thing. And that's where the slow begins. In my notes, I'm writing things kind of as I was watching. I was writing quotes and I was writing reactions. I was talking about different things. And I think an hour into the movie, I had written, you know, so far, aside from the death of Thanos, nothing has happened. You know, obviously they're building and they're doing some things and they're trying to figure out how to do some things, and, you know, there's a lot of story there, and I don't want to say nothing has happened because it's not completely true, but there is a ton of story, there is a ton of build up to this. An hour and a half into the movie, I wrote another thing, you know, still aside from the first 15 minutes of the movie, not much has happened. An hour and a half or so is when they first make their very first, they've come to the conclusion they can time travel. They put a plan into motion. They're going to do it. 1.5 hours into the movie is when they first do it, when they officially time travel to the past. And that's where the movie picks up a little bit, because they see, you know, they go to New York, because there's 3 Infinity Stones in New York. So there's a lot kind of going on with the time travel aspect. I will say that I think that they broke their own rules as far as time travel goes. I don't like when movies try to get cute with time travel. I'm a big time travel guy. I like time travel, anything, shows, movies, whatever. And for me, the easiest form of time travel is to go to the past and affect your future. Yes, it doesn't always make sense. I get that. But it's easier for me to suspend my belief, my belief in that, than when you set your own rules for time travel and then you break those rules. it's also hard for me to set aside the fact that, because what they had said was that you can't, not Thor, why do I keep saying Thor? Hulk essentially says you can't go to the past and affect your future. They're living in a multiple timeline universe where whatever you do in the past just breaks you off into a new timeline instead of affecting your own future. And so it's hard for me to believe that Cap would go along with something like this. Not because he doesn't want to see his friends come back to life, but because that's only going to happen in this new timeline. The old timeline is still, the prime timeline is still affected by the snap. There's still millions of people dead on our Earth and across the universe. So it's hard for me to come to agree that Captain America would be okay with that. But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he just wants to fix it, and so it doesn't matter if it's a new timeline instead of the prime timeline. But then you get into the little things that fuck up the time travel scenario. Where did Loki go with the Tesseract? How in the world did nobody notice that the new Nebula, aside from having the gold thing on her arm, had a regular, or on her head, had a regular arm? How did Cap time travel to the prime timeline from the other timeline, which I've heard people say he jumped back, but to my knowledge and to the looks like the rules of this movie, you can only time travel, jump back to the little pod that they created. So he didn't jump back there as far as we can tell. He just happens to be on a bench. So there's a lot of weird things that the time travel for me didn't work as well as it should have, as well as I thought it should have. So that for me was the weakest part of this movie. I really liked a lot of the other stuff, seeing Thor with his mom, even though she didn't want to hear about what's going on in her future, which is really cool. That's kind of that is a staple in time travel movies. You never want to know too much about your own future. But that's when Fat Thor, which was the best part of this movie, by the way, that's when Fat Thor got his confidence back. That's when he got his mojo back to go and do what they needed to do, and it was thanks to his mother. Watching Iron Man, watching Stark with his father was another cool thing. I mean, there were so many cool moments smashed into this 3-hour event that the weaknesses were not as weak to make this movie bad for me. I'd probably be somewhere in the high 3s, low 4s as far as if I was giving it a rank, but I don't like to do that. I just like to say that I like the movie. So, in the end, Thanos figures out that they're time traveling and they're getting all the stones because Nebula is she's in past Nebula's timeline, but because she's mostly robot and she has her fucking memory stored, when she jumps back to 2014, where one of the stones is, present Nebula from 2014 and future Nebula from 2019 happen to interact, and so Thanos is able to see from present 24 Nebula, he's able to see 2019 Nebula's memories, and so he finds out that all of this shit is going on, and so he tries to stop it. A lot of things happen, but once they time travel and they get all the stones, Thanos is able to jump back jump forward to 2019 from 2014, and the fucking attack happens. Once all of that happens, once they've gathered all the Infinity Stones from jumping back in time 17 times, Hulk is able to snap everybody back. I was mostly correct in my assumption from, you'll have to look back at the episode, it's been a while, when Infinity War came out, that the people who died of regular deaths and not from the snap were able to come back. Vision wasn't in this movie, which was kind of weird. Gamora wasn't in this movie as far as future Gamora. Past Gamora was in the movie. But the people who actually died from real deaths weren't able to come back from the snap to bring back the people who died from the snap itself. So Hulk snaps everybody back. And while that's going on, Thanos is invading present Avengers headquarters. So there is a giant fucking Thanos army. He brings a ton of people back to 2019 with him. But then you see all of the tunnels, I don't know what to call them. Doctor Strange's things open, his tunnels. So you see the giant battle that's about to go against Thanos. You see the Valkyrie, you see Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, you see all the people from Wakanda, Black Panther, you see all of the Asgardians that they could gather. Every single massive good guy that they could find is in this fight, and there is a throwaway line, and it's fucking hilarious to me. It was one of the funnier parts of the movie when Wong says to I think Tony says to Wong, he says, "Is this everybody?" Somebody says it to Wong, I can't remember off the top of my head, it's been a couple days now. And Wong says, "This isn't enough? Like, there is fucking two massive armies about to go to war." And so it was probably one of the coolest comic book fights that's ever been put on the screen, because it's just everybody, every superhero that's been in the Marvel movies, every supervillain that Thanos has at his disposal, and it was just the one giant, massive, awesome fight. Everybody got their turn on the spotlight there at the end. We finally saw Doctor Strange fighting a little bit, Spider-Man fighting a little bit, Drax was jumping on people and stabbing them and shit. There was a massive amount of fighting going on. And so that they were playing, that was the coolest part for me. Once everybody's fighting and they're going back, Thanos realizes he has to get the gauntlet back in order to snap the whole universe dead, of people, of things, of living things. I assume people are aliens, not animals, I'm guessing, because he just wants to start over. And so the end is his fight against the good guys to find the gauntlet, put it back on, and snap everybody out. And so there's these cool scenes where Spider-Man's holding the gauntlet, where they hot potato the gauntlet between a lot of different people, and Captain Marvel ends up getting it. She ends up having the help from a lot of the female superheroes that are there, and they kind of mow through a lot of people. They're trying to get it away from Thanos, but Captain Marvel has this massive face down with Thanos. They fight, she's winning, he's winning, she's winning. He takes the Power Stone off of the gauntlet and he fucking punches her right in the face, and she goes flying out of the scene. And so he puts the Power Stone back into the gauntlet, and you think he won. He has all of the Power Stones at that point. That's when Iron Man comes in and fights him a little bit. You obviously know Iron Man's not going to win that fight, and he gets kicked off. But he wasn't fighting, he was stealing. So he stole all of the Infinity Stones from Thanos' gauntlet, and you see them on a makeshift iron, part of his Iron Man suit. And he snaps, Iron Man snaps all of the bad guys away. So they're all dead, I assume. Which again is something weird about time travel. But only powerful beings can do it, can use the gauntlet. That's why Captain America had it there, or Captain Marvel had it there at the end. So Bruce is all jacked up from him using it earlier to snap everybody back, and Iron Man can't. He doesn't have the strength. He doesn't have he's not a superhero, he just has suits and stuff, so he's not able to take the force that it takes for this, and he dies. That's something that I kind of guessed that he would just go off and retire. I didn't think he would die. I thought Captain America would die, but Iron Man dies using the gauntlet, and they hold this giant funeral for him, and everybody's there. All the superheroes are there to kind of honor him and do that kind of stuff. I skipped over Black Widow's death, and that's just because I just remembered it now. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. When they went back in time, they had to sacrifice, Black Widow sacrificed herself so that they could get the Soul Stone in Vormir. So But that was a sad death as well. But here at the end of the movie, they hold this giant funeral for Tony Stark. Everything's good. They send Captain America back in time to put all the stones back where they were. And he apparently decides that he does not want to come back. He stays in the past with his love, and they have a happy life, apparently. And then he just shows up on the bench. He passes off his shield to Falcon, who is now dubbed apparently the new Captain America, and then it kind of ends right there. Like I said, I have my little problems with the time travel aspect, and it was just a much slower movie than anticipated, but I liked the movie. I probably skipped over a ton of things, but I'm trying not to go for 30 or 45 minutes. I'm sorry, guys. There will be a much deeper conversation about this on a future episode. So hopefully you've gone out and watched it. Hopefully you had a good time. Like I said, I liked Infinity War better myself, but I liked Endgame. It's a good movie. You should definitely go watch it. You'll see our, if you're here in Colorado and you go to the drive-in theater in Fort Collins, you'll see our advertising up there on the big screen and the snack bar, which is really cool. But otherwise, like I said, I know there's a ton I skipped over. If you want to talk about something else, put it down here in the comment section. I'll talk about it. We'll discuss it. Otherwise, you can hit us up at anywhere you can find a podcast: iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, anywhere you can find a podcast where they're thinking outside the long box. Hit us up. You can email me if you want at outsidethelongbox@gmail.com. If you're creating something, if you want to talk about something, whatever you want to talk about, if you want to send us an email, you can. You can hit us up at facebook.com/thinkingoutsidethelongbox, Twitter and Instagram at outsidelongbox. Otherwise, that's it. Like I said, I didn't want this to go on forever, so it's a little bit of a shorter, but I tried to go over everything kind of larger that I could. Go watch Avengers Endgame. Hopefully you guys are having a great Monday. Make the most of it. Go do something fun, even if it's work. Go make somebody happy. Go make yourself some money. Go do something, all right? You guys have a great day.